four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The three wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy, you know, these are 5-ton machines, 1200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a drift to show off.
Ben Gregory now, I love it. 16.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening indeed. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to rounds 11 and 12 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. We're here at the beautiful Oulton Park in Cheshire. My name is Chaz Draycott and I'm delighted to have alongside me in the commentary box once again Ed May. Ed, fantastic circuit here at Oulton. The second time we've been here this season, but this one's going to count.
This is going to be a wonderful time for the drivers to have a race around here that is going to score them some championship points. Obviously, first round we had sort of more of a media day than anything else to make sure obviously the setups are all right. The drivers won't need to be worrying about taking trips to the pit lane as long as everything goes to plan. But what a evening we're off of the back of. Just a week ago, actually no, 2 weeks ago, it was at Snetterton, wasn't it? And we've had like a little mid-season sort of 1 week off to get back into the driver's seat. And tell you what, we're really looking forward to this, aren't we? Because I know I've missed this a lot.
Yeah, it's amazing how just 1 week off makes it sound like forever since we were last racing. This is how the championship looks at present. We have the amazing Mustang of Dan McCauley at the very top of the pile, but he's only 3 points ahead of Arthur Thurtle and Ben Idris Abdullahi, who are both tied for second place. They are only 3 points clear of Simon Povey, who's only 1 point clear of Niels Kaur, and then 6 points ahead of Jake Cranstone, and then Lewis Ward only 2 points behind him. The top 7 in the championship covered by by 15 points. And even in the Teams Championship, it's close as well. Satellite Racing, Chicane Online Racing, which is Nils Kaur and Ben Idris Abdullahi, are separated by 30 points from Altitude Esports, with Spontex CDM Esports up there as well. And then even then, the drivers and teams all have a lot of people to battle with. Boosted Motorsport, Series 1 Racing and Oris Racing all very close in terms of points as well. And it's going to be close all night here, Ed, because of course we're here at Oulton Park, but they are really, really competitive, all these drivers, and the times have been so close through every single round of the series so far, haven't they?
They really have been. It's been great to see that competitive nature transferring over from the GT4s into the GT3s. We're currently watching Adam Watson at the moment, who's going to be hunting for a strong result. Was it Adam actually who got away with the win last time? I don't actually know, it was Arthur Thurtle, wasn't it? I think behind the wheel of the Corvette during media day at least.
Yes.
Saw him take top honours. So we'll have to see if he can repeat that feat here tonight. Currently just 2.5 tenths off of Adam's time in qualifying, but we are only 5 minutes gone into this 15-minute session. Drivers as well able to complete the laps that they are on. As this is actually no, they aren't, are we? Because we do have the 2 30-minute races, so that when the drivers cross the line, that is it. Adam Watson again placing his mark down even further ahead of Arthur Thurtle. Tim Perry as well. Haven't mentioned him in a while. Good to see him on our screens. He's currently third at the moment behind the wheel of the Ford, and the Ford's going to have to hope they can qualify really well, because around here, we saw it last time, overtaking very difficult, and the Ford, being as wide as it is going to make that much harder for everyone in behind. Simon Povey goes second fastest.
He does indeed. And let's not forget, iRacing has got its new debris refresh system on as of right now as well, since the last round of the championship. So a lot of grass and a bit of gravel here and there will be chucked up and lobbed around. We're going to be seeing Stephen Kershaw for the rest of the season as well. Stephen, a newcomer to the series, making his first appearance tonight. He's in the Porsche. So too is Martin Kenyon now in the Porsche as well. He's still got the windscreen banner on that thing, actually, that says thank you to Chaz and Ed. So, I mean, while we do love that, I'm going to have to sort that out, because it doesn't seem to have brought over his decal layer, which is very frustrating. I gave that a refresh just before, so the cars may go white in just a moment as that refreshes once again. Well, there's a lot of moving parts to this, so as you can understand why these things aren't always straightforward. I know exactly why this is. I'll be completely blunt with you all. I've put it into the little folder of the sort of championships decals, but not into the actual paint folder. So Martin's Porsche will be resplendent with the Derbyshire Holiday Homes logo in just a moment's time. Thanks also to Oris Analytics and Bespoke Shelters for their sponsorship of the championship. And isn't it great to see this guy back, Ed? Matt Hoyland in the Merc.
Yeah, it is great to have him here. And Matt Hoyland actually was one of the drivers that was a little bit disappointed, wasn't it, after the first race of the season that ended up not counting, because didn't he get his victory as well? A great comeback fight through the field.
He was,
he was
at the front for the majority, and then he didn't have enough fuel. He held on ahead of everybody, and then had to come into the pits.
Yeah, my mistake, but he was one of the drivers that then benefited, wasn't it, from the change around, because of obviously the fuel limits not being correctly adjusted to account for the 30-minute races. He's going to be hoping for his great pace to sort of come through for him here tonight. And so far, not doing too badly, is he, up inside of the top 10. We were actually talking, weren't we, as well, before the broadcast went live, about Stephen Kershaw, and that we hoped he would be able to make it. He's had to download all of the updates in the background to make it in time, because we were going to say he wouldn't make a lot of friends if he would give everyone some ballast in the Porsche and then not turn up.
Well, we've had a driver leave the McLaren ranks. It's not Ben Chalcraft, I can tell you that. So the McLarens now have no ballast in them. They actually have completely zero. They're on 10 kilos, and the horrific thing that you've just seen flash through the bottom of your screen is the reason why. Tim Perry has moved over to the Mustang for this. The Porsches now have 2 more in the field, so they actually have 20 kilos of ballast, and there are 4 of them in the field. One of them is in second place, so they can't moan about it at all. Lewis Ward did want to change to the Lamborghini, by the way, midweek. However, he's been limited to just the one change for this season, and he is still driving the Porsche. We'll finally have a look at it, because if you watched at Snetterton, you would have heard the jokes about Tim Perry this, Tim Perry that, and we just kept repeating Tim Perry's name as much as possible. He said we haven't paid enough attention to him on the broadcast, so he has now presented us with this absolute monstrosity out there on track. And, I mean, I don't know about you, Ed, but I absolutely love it.
It's growing on me, you know. I think if he changes his wheel colour every race as well to sort of match with the sort of rainbow effect he's gone on, that would be a really nice little touch. But yeah, it's you're certainly not going to miss it, are you, being as big as it is and bright as it is? Here at Oulton, Tim Perry behind the wheel of his Technicolor Mustang, I think it's fair to call it.
Tim Tron Perry, actually, has been said in the chat by Gilles Gardner, and he's not wrong, is he? I think from every single angle this car will look, yeah, just as horrific. Still, hats off, it's part of the fun of the series, the fun of this community, and he's giving them 4 to go. It seems like it's a very strong car, though. 3 of them in the top 8. Dan McCauley, championship leader at the moment, making SRM great again. He's got Donald Trump on the left-hand side with his Christmas hat on, as he heads back down the hill. Is he going to improve on his time? He's got a couple of green sectors so far. Where does that put him now? He's going from 8th, 10 thousandths of a second behind Hoyland. Doesn't improve. It's good to have Arthur Thurtle back as well in the American Ferrari. He heads down into the final couple of corners. He too is hoping to improve on his lap time.
Yeah, he's coming up to the line, just going through Deer Leap now and over the beam. He's got a purple first sector, no real improvements though later on in the lap, and he stays 5th fastest. Got, I think, enough time for a few more attempts at it though, so watch this space. Really pushes hard, doesn't he, through that first corner, careful to not run wide of track limits. Further back down we have Lee Berich, highest position of the Ferraris. Now that's cut's not really in favour, is it, no. In terms of the GT3s. You're currently down in 17th and 18th, the 2 boosted motorsports drivers, and it's just not really working out for them. Both of them running the Virage Group logo, operated by the team that races in Le Mans under, I think, the LMP2 banner. If memory serves right.
Yeah, there was a partnership between Boosted and some of the Virage guys a while ago, and they've maintained that in the long run as well, which is great to see. And they carry this gorgeous paint scheme with them. The 2 Ferraris on circuit, 17th and 18th at the moment. John Tusting had his only wheel failure in about 3 years, I think he said. Or maybe his first one since he started sim racing, which was at Snetterton while he was leading race 2. He was absolutely devastated, but luckily it didn't cause an issue for anybody else's race, but only his own. So we were gutted for John, and we hope that tonight goes better for him. Kim Such in the Audi, just crossing the start-finish line now. No improvement for him by the look of it. He's in 16th spot at the moment, highest placed Audi. But right now, it is very, very close. But Adam Watson has that 2/10, well, never mind, nearly 2/10 advantage over Simon Povey for pole position.
Yeah, looking good at the moment, isn't it, for Adam Watson? Simon's definitely closing in that little bit more. Lewis Ward seems to be in the pits at the moment. Not sure if he's going to come out for one final attempt. But speaking on Lewis, actually, you were saying that he was thinking of changing car. Wasn't he by far the fastest driver at Snetterton? Or is my memory
he was.
not right from
that suited the Porsche a little bit better, did that one. But we have a lovely view there of the car in front of him. Simon Price's Kinder Bueno liveried BMW M4 GT3. Absolutely love this thing. And Simon continues to bring us great looking colour schemes round after round from the Lunchbox Legends camp, as he calls it.
Was it based on a conversation I think we had during the broadcast a couple of weeks ago, talking about favourite chocolate bars?
Oh yeah,
like crunchy Kinder Bueno.
Yeah, Kinder Bueno is our top tier. To be fair, Charlotte's thing this week, my girlfriend's thing, is twirls this week. Actually,
Ooh,
we've moved on to twirls, and she's not wrong. Banging. Absolutely
Whisper Gold
banging.
for me, but that's
Whisper
just...
Gold. Yeah, I like a bit of caramel, but it hurts my teeth. It's the sort of stuff you can feel your gums melting as you eat it.
Yeah, true. You don't want it sticking around in your mouth for too long. That's why I scarf it down as quick as possible, because it's just I can't resist. It's so nice. Anyway, what could be nice is a Simon Povey front row. As it stands, he's going to be right up there with Adam Watson. And what a battle that would be into turn 1, Chaz, if they manage to get good starts. But so far, we do have around about a minute or so to go. Simon, this is probably going to be his last attempt at pole position. He's going to need maximum, not less effort to this, his final lap of the session.
It's a perfect slogan for a team that I run, isn't it, really? Champion of less effort. But still, Simon is right up there in the championship at the moment. It is Dan McCauley leading the season, and he is not too far ahead of the likes of Arthur Thurtle and Ben Idris Abdullahi, but Arthur at the moment 4th, Ben Idris Abdullahi 12th, shows you just how mixed this season has been so far, with the fact that, you know, it's not all down to raw pace. It's about how you play the evening and play the format to get results in both races over the course of the night. And Ben Idris Abdullahi has been able to do that very well so far, but yeah, he's in the lower half of the field here because there's only 22 cars out there on track tonight. It's still going to feel mighty cramped around here at Oulton Park, though, and we like a bit of a smaller grid, don't we, Ed? Because it can be a bit too much sometimes with 60 or 50 odd cars.
Especially at Oulton Park, which isn't the biggest circuit in the world. It's very narrow at points, and we are using a slightly more sort of shortened layout. So we'll see how the drivers fare with that, having already raced here earlier on this season. Mark Johnson here just through at this moment in time. Not sure if he's on a proper attacking lap, but we'll definitely see what he can do to try and improve on that 10th place. I think Mark Johnson was... Oh, dearie me.
I mean, he wasn't going to anyway because he was going to run out of time as the session comes to a close. I don't even think Jake Cranstone's going to get another lap in here as he comes to the line. And nope, he's going to disappear on the spot. And that'll be that for Jake's lap and for qualifying. So once again, it is Adam Watson taking pole position. But would you look at this though, Ed? We have Adam Watson, Simon Povey, Arthur Thurtle, Lewis Ward, Nils Kaur, Tim Perry, Jake Cranstone, and then Matt Hoyland, Dan McCauley, Mark Johnson. It's a very, very tightly packed top 10. Really, really competitive this season once again. So, as mentioned, Watson and Povey on the front row of the grid, separated by less than 0.2 of a second. Arthur Thurtle in third position in the Corvette. Good to have him back, with Lewis Ward, double GT4 champion alongside him, and Nils Kaur in 5th place. He's also won the GT4 Challenge. We have then Tim Perry in 6th place. A good start for him in his Mustang, with Jake Cranstone in the Audi. Sorry, not the Audi, it's the Mercedes, and it's an all Mercedes. 4th row of the grid as well, Jake Cranstone and Matt Hoyland. Dan McCauley will start in 9th place, championship leader down there, with Mark Johnson alongside him, who gets a top 10 in qualifying. Chris Jennings will start 11th. Unfortunately, didn't out-qualify Tim Perry in qualifying, considering he's got a sign on the side of the car that says Tim Perry this way. Ben Idris Abdullahi will start in 12th place. He'll definitely want to move forward from there. Heinz May alongside Ben Chalcraft, with Martin Kenyon in the Porsche alongside Kim Such's Audi. Then it's a Ferrari row 9 with Lee Berridge and John Tusting. Christopher Rowe starts in 19th in the Porsche with Ryan Penny alongside him. Stephen Kershaw 21st in his first qualifying of the season. And then Simon Price only 0.05 of a second behind. Hats off to Simon though. Closer to the rear end of the field. He was making a bit of a joke at Snetterton, saying it felt like he was actually in a race last time around, bless him. He's very humble about his paces, Simon, but he's here every week. He continues trying, he continues pushing, and he's always working on improving not just the liveries of the cars but his pace as well, and he is right in the thick of it now with these drivers in front of him. He's got Stephen Kershaw to his right hand side, but we have, well, the Porsche safety car there, but you can't really see the Lamborghini of Adam Watson with Simon Povey alongside. And then look at the monstrosity of Tim Perry's Mustang there. It's just there's not many words. It certainly stands out there, even though the majority of it's still black.
Yeah, just having a look. One driver's not taken to the start, actually, Chaz. Ryan Penny seemingly missing from the grid as it gets rolling. He will start from the pits, and hopefully he'll have nice clear eyes. Everything is all right on Ryan's side, and we'll see him out on the circuit. But for now, like I said, what a front row that was proven to be, and it did come to fruition. Adam Watson alongside Simon Povey, and this is going to be very intriguing for the championship, considering where they are. Simon is only 6 points shy of the lead held by Lewis Ward. Not Lewis. Yeah, it's not. No, it's not Lewis Ward. Lewis Ward's old teammate Dan McCauley, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. He'll certainly be eyeing up the championship lead with tonight. But you've got to be patient and you've got to play the game. So they've been given a start procedure. It's either consistent or increasing speed by Adam Watson. He's chosen his speed and he's keeping it very slow, but he gets underway. And here goes round 11 of the championship here in the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. And immediately Jake Cranstone is down the inside of Nils Kaur. And is that Tim Perry? I think so. It's hard to notice him really with that livery. Arthur Thurtle and Simon Povey are side by side in the Corvettes down towards Cascades. Simon has to dig in a little bit there to try and keep it round the outside. Lovely move by Arthur Thurtle. Really aggressive stuff to cut the nose off his fellow Corvette driver. Seems like everybody has kept it tidy as they head down towards the hairpin for the first time. Tim Perry late on the brakes, and well, it was wasn't easy to spot him, was it? Oh, he's gone flying through on the brakes there and hit Simon Povey. Nils Core has been caught up in it as well. Christopher Rowe facing the wrong way. I think Ryan Penny's involved in that in the McLaren as well. And there's a big old gap now down to second place. Goodness me, that all got a little bit too much for them, didn't it, down there? It all started with Perry missing his braking point.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, the bright paint actually allowed Simon to see it coming, and he took a little bit of evasive action, just gave a bit more space on the inside. Didn't put as much lock on as the impact came to him, so he was able to keep the car pointing in the right direction, but hopefully that hasn't caused him any damage that can prevent him to try and get back up ahead of Arthur Thurtle. We want all of these cars to be as fit and able as they can be to race as close as possible. Right now, though, we're on board with Ben Idris Abdullahi. Great start for him, actually, up 3 places into the top 10 and chasing down Mark Johnson. That beautiful Legends Racing Castrol and Supra inspired design. So far, so good in terms of the start. Only one little incident. I think that was just Tim Perry potentially getting into the ABS through the island hairpin. Oh, it was Adam Watson, our leader, has a moment, and through goes Thurtle and Povey.
Wow, both Corvettes through. Lewis Ward.
As well.
Yeah, Lewis Ward goes through. Can Jake Cranstone capitalise on that as well? An unforced error there by Adam Watson down in towards Cascades. Easy to do in a mid-engined car like the Lamborghini Huracan. And all of a sudden, Smovey pells water in the blood. No, Povey smells blood in the water as he chases down Arthur Thurtle in towards the Knickerbrook chicane. Really tough to get this right in a GT3 car because those tyre stacks, let me tell you, they do not move here on iRacing. And the Knickerbrook corner itself is off camber to the left-hand side. It digs down. It's like there's a magnet in the fence on the outside. But Povey now into second place, but importantly, on his return to the series after missing Snetterton, Arthur Thurtle in the race lead.
Yeah, massive for him in his championship as well. The drivers do get drop rounds. Is it just a touch of the grass maybe on the way through that causes a bit of instability, a bit of dirt on them potentially with iRacing's new debris system? Has caused it, because you can just see there he does tap a bit of the grass, doesn't he, on those outside tyres.
Yeah, it's a brilliant save by Adam, and he did really well there actually to not let the car spear back across the circuit, because that very easily could have gone 90 degrees left in front of everybody and caused a big old palaver. Tim Perry has been back on the circuit and back into the pits, I'm afraid. Lee Berridge has also had a drama late on in the lap, or well, at the start of the lap it seems. He's just clipped that grass on the inside. It's so easy to do that. How has he not hit a wall there? I have never seen anybody go off like that at Oulton Park Turn 1 and not be buried in a barrier. Just over the crest, look, it gets away. That is a phenomenal save, Lee. Absolutely phenomenal save, that is. Hats off to him. We'll have a look at the drama a little bit further back in the race, as we have... Where on earth is it? When Tim Perry went off the circuit, there's been a drama for Dan McCauley, championship leader. We'll look at it in just a sec. Tim smashes into Simon. I think Simon gets very lucky because the bumper of that car goes back on. And the drama further back, I think, was Ryan Penny missing his brake marker, or Martin Kenyon. Let's have a look. Oh. Yeah, Penny just goes straight on into the hairpin.
It's almost like he's got no ABS and the car locks up, just goes straight on at the hairpin.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can find out what happened to championship leader coming into this round.
Oh, he's hit the tyre stack. Told you they don't move.
It's the width of that Mustang that's done him in there.
It's the... Yeah, I'm not going to say the word. It's the chunky Mustang. Yeah. Look at it. Oh, this is going to feel like backside as well. I hope his wrist's all right, because Dan races on a direct drive wheel, and you're going to feel that. But he gets going. Let's see what the rejoin's like. Yeah, he stays over to the left. Oh, backs it out. Nice bit of display there by the Ferrari. Lovely stuff. Simon Price, unfortunately, had a drama not long after that. It's like the recap session now. I wonder if Dan's got any damage to the car. Oh, the Beamer just gets slightly sideways under power. And then nicely done that by Simon. Great awareness. And then, oh, maybe not after maybe not for the second bit. Don't think he expected the McLaren to be coming through there. Hines is going to do what Adam did. Almost a carbon copy that, but he just carried the speed and went onto the grass.
Maybe it's not about the debris on the tyres. Maybe it's just the Lamborghini being mid-engined and just the way the weight is distributed. It just doesn't seem to favour that car. Just going down through Cascades.
It's a shed.
Hopefully. Yeah, not very comfortable to drive. But let's have a look now on board with Lee Berridge, who is currently in 15th place. Going to be scoring some championship points, and also, actually, importantly, on that reverse grid pole position. right in behind Stephen Kershaw. He's getting the sponsors in, isn't he, on the rear bumper?
Absolutely is. They're all partners of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Series. You can see the likes of Porsche Centre Chester and Midas on there. Seems like Lee doesn't want to sit in 15th place and get that reverse grid pole. Heinz Mayer definitely wants it as well, though. I suppose the interesting thing is that he's got a smaller field to deal with. So when you are in 15th, you know, there's less cars behind you here to sort of hold back from that as he tries to have a go at Stephen Kershaw. Kershaw moved very far over to the right there, even kissed the grass a little bit. Let's see what Heinz Mayer makes of this as he comes out of the hairpin in the Lamborghini. It doesn't want to put the power down. God, it makes a great sound, this car. Really, really does make a great noise. Look at Lee there moving around saying, come on, I want to try and look down the inside here, Steve. He's just filling those mirrors, putting pressure on time and time again. Someone else that's doing that is Lewis Ward. He is right behind Simon Povey and Arthur Thurtle now for this race lead. We've got 3 cars for the lead with 23.5 minutes left to go in the race.
Yeah, it's going really great, isn't it? Just all of this action up and down the field. Everywhere we look, there's a battle. I think Nils Cora is in a battle as well, actually, for 11th place. I think he's trying to find his way through. Actually, yeah, he has just managed it against Martin Kenyon. There's Matt Hoyland into the pits. Again, the Mercedes takes a trip into the pits here at Oulton Park. What could be the reason this time?
Really not sure what he's had going on here. He's out of the car and seemingly out of the race, unfortunately, for Matt Hoyland. That's a massive, massive shame, that. We've got a battle going on here between the green and yellow machines of Chris Jennings' Lamborghini and Ben Chalcraft's McLaren. Ben, one of the biggest movers in the field. Stephen Kershaw, the newcomer to the series, is actually the biggest mover, gaining 8 places so far. Ben Chalcraft has gained 5 spots. John Tusting has gained 6. Apparently, Rob Mackay is saying that Matt's having technical issues, unfortunately. That's what's put pay to his race for now. It's a huge shame to see. What about Dan McCauley after his earlier spin? He's been into the pits, so I think he had damage from that incident with the wall. It would have broken the suspension or something, I reckon. It's easy to do that. But Dan will be fuming after leading the championship. He doesn't like racing GT3s at Oulton. He's made that very apparent and very clear the last couple of days to me. But he's had to do it to stay in the championship. But this is an intriguing battle, isn't it? Once again, we come to Oulton Park with Arthur Thurtle at the front of the field and a car right behind him the whole way. It was Callum Brandt's Audi that was with him for the majority in the very first meeting we had here at the start of the championship. But now it's Povey, Ward and Watson. Watson, the driver that's put it on pole position almost every single time this season. Simon Povey, the first ever champion of the SRM GT4 Challenge and lightning quick everywhere. Lewis Ward, the winningest driver in the SRM GT4 Challenge with 2 titles to his name. All of them chasing down Arthur Thurtle, who again is one of the quickest drivers we've ever had in this community, and he continues to show us why we say so many good things about him. He's a lovely chap as well, a really good laugh, always getting involved in it in Discord. What a great quartet we've got here, Ed.
Yeah, and also I'm just looking at the times how close they all are together. I mean, the last lap for the top 3 drivers was a 1:18.81 for Arthur Thurtle, a 1:18.81 for Simon Povey, and a 1:18.80 for Lewis Ward. So nearly identical time for the top 3, which just goes to show the level and the pressure that's being piled on Arthur. He knows he can't afford any sort of mistake, especially when Simon is this close to him. Oh, it's very nice, isn't it, this little battle here going on now.
2 Corvettes for the lead. And the Porsche, Lamborghini, then the 2 Mercedes. Ben Idris Abdullahi going well. He's gained 6 spots after starting 12th on the grid. They'll be really pleased with that. And Lewis Ward, even though that Porsche's got 20 kilos of popularity ballast in it, he is making it very, very competitive still. Lewis is that sort of driver, though. He's quick in everything that you put him in. He doesn't just get used to one car and make it work. He's just quick everywhere. Nils Cora driving now with, I would say, a bit of red mist, but Nils is one of the most level-headed drivers and people that I've ever seen, so it'd be unlikely for him to race with red mist, but he's fired up after having to come back through the order. He'll want to get past Mark Johnson, who keeps the car in a really defensive position. Nils tries to straighten it up, but look, the traction for the Mustang out of corners is where it struggles, so he's not been able to get the power down there to match the McLaren as they head down towards the chicane once again. But he's going to want to get this done sooner rather than later on Mark, because he's got Martin Kenyon behind him. Mark's gone deep into the chicane, and that's going to hold the pair of them up.
See just how close Nils is through every single corner. It's pushing him along. He's got a little bit of an overlap, does he? maybe through Druids. He's going to try, isn't he?
Whoa.
Just not enough alongside to really think about making it work. He's been putting so much pressure on actually that I think the front of his bumper, is caved in actually at the head of the car. Look.
That was from his earlier contact with Tim Perry on the first lap. Tim was completely across him basically. I think Nils just tried to tuck it to the inside and avoid the incident, but unfortunately it meant that he was more caught up in it than he planned to be. They are still catching, however. He and Mark Johnson are catching Chris Jennings and Ben Chalcraft just ahead of them, so they are making inroads on those two yellow and green cars. There's a change here. Simon Povey and Lewis Ward. Lewis actually putting the pressure on Simon here to make the move. Simon kicks the back end of the Corvette out, and that Porsche, that's going to sail on by down towards the chicane. These two have had loads of great battles in the past. Simon taps the brakes, gives Adam a little warning to say, look, I want to slot in there, please. And Adam just sits behind him. Very quick thinking that from Povey. But Lewis Ward now up into second position in the Porsche. And that looks very, very comfortable, doesn't it, that Porsche? It always does, though. Always looks comfy.
Yeah, Simon Povey with almost the poker mindset, knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them, and I think that was a case where he decided that the writing was on the wall and it wasn't worth fighting into turn one against a Lewis Ward that had the advantage, had the pace on him, and just realising that it's still a very important championship point that he'll be scoring in third place. With Adam Watson right behind, he doesn't want to lose any more than necessary, because I think Simon can sense that.
Whoa,
oh my word,
wow.
Adam!
Oh, dearie me. Adams lobbed it up the inside. There's contact with Povey, and the two of them are out of the race, surely. Absolutely, surely out of the race. Adam tries to continue, but Simon's Corvette is done for. Now, that was a humongous send by Adam. I'd argue he got it stopped for the corner, you know.
Look, Simon's committed for the apex at this point. If he goes out of it...
Yeah. It wasn't the best camera angle for that, was it? I mean, it's a brilliant send by Adam. Dives down the inside on the brakes, but I think he just gets a wobble on, which is why he corrects it to the left, and that's what makes the second bit of contact. But that was rather messy, and it is now promoted Jake Cranstone up into third position. Ben Idris Abdullahi is now fourth. Chris Jennings is up into fifth, and Ben Chalcraft is up into sixth. So these guys benefiting a lot from the chaos near the front of the order here.
Yeah, once more, the two Ferraris still glued together in terms of track position. Up 7 places, sorry, for John Tustin, currently up in 11th. Lee Berridge 5 places into 12th. Two of them scoring some very strong points position so far in the championship, and that's why it's so good for drivers who maybe don't always score the massive points to attend these races where not so many drivers are present, where they can really make massive inroads in the championship. It sort of rewards constant attendance.
Yeah, it does, and that's the thing. You know, we have included drop rounds for this season just for the fact that, you know, it's this time of year. People may miss it because, you know, there's a lot of other commitments. We have a maximum of 36 cars in this field, and so far this season, I mean tonight we have 22 in the field, so we are far from at capacity. But at the end of the day, we have 32 active entrants, I do apologise. So 10 of them not here, but, you know, you still have the opportunity to be here for every round. There's not many rounds in this championship. As Mark Johnson's gone deep in the McLaren. Car's going to go one way, then the other. Martin Kenyon puts his nose down the inside. Oh, Mark just about judges the McLaren's length to perfection there across the front of the Porsche. This has brought Lee Berridge and John Tusting into the mix as well. John in the Ferrari wanting a piece of this now to try and get past Adam Watson. Don't know how walking wounded he is right now. I imagine that Lamborghini is not running at full chat, so to speak.
Yeah, there's definitely some visual damage. I'm not sure how much of that is just superficial. Adam Watson, we know how capable he is a driver, probably able to drive around the problems if there are any. We'll have to see if he's able to make any sort of headway up the grid and towards sort of, well, how long have we got left in the race? Still about...
Just hit halfway.
12 minutes, yeah, just hit halfway. Flipping heck. Still a long old way to go. Currently out ahead, Arthur Thurtle has a bit of a gap, doesn't he, to Lewis Ward. All of the dramas in behind have given him plenty of breathing space. Jake Cranston seems to have actually in the podium, trying to defend from the other, not really quite silver hour, is it, the Mercedes in behind of Ben Idris Abdullahi.
And car going down the order. It is Mark Johnson in the McLaren. Mark Johnson is going down the order, and Adam Watson is also going down the order as well. Adam having a real tough time in this race, it seems. What on earth has happened here? John Tusting has actually had a separate incident here. So Martin Kenyon and Adam Watson are side by side ahead. Oh, Johnson's around, and then, oh, no way. That is devastating. Very messy stuff there. Adam gets the car out of the way.
Where Adam also gets those two bits of contact, I worry if he's got suspension damage, because he gets them both on the sort of rear corners where the tyres are, and I worry with how sensitive these car suspension can be to impact if that's sort of affected the drivability of the car. It doesn't look great, does it?
No, it certainly looks a bit bent in. Let's have a look at this again. So he's around the outside. Oh, Kenyon's just clipped the back of Johnson. Johnson just gets pinged around there a lot by everyone, and the Ferraris are trying to stay out of the way. Adam takes 2 bites of the cherry when it comes to the rejoin as well, unfortunately, so he's certainly he's not avoiding attention here in this one. But Arthur Thurteles, he's having a great old time of it, isn't he? He had that mistake from Adam earlier, which gave him the lead of the race. Then the accident behind has meant he leads, with Lewis Ward taking 2nd position. It's this battle for 3rd place, though, that interests me. It's the 2 Mercedes right together. It's Jake Cranstone ahead of Ben Idris Abdullahi.
Yeah, this is going to be, I think, the real battle to keep an eye on over the course of at least this first race of the evening. We'll also see potentially what the battle could erupt into the sort of final point scoring position and reverse grid pole, because Dan McCauley has been gaining a little bit, as on obviously benefit of the dramas up ahead of him, but he's currently in 16th place, and look who's just up the road, 15th place, Adam Watson.
Yeah, if Dan can gain just one more position, he could salvage his evening by taking pole for race 2. Let's just go on board and listen to this glorious Mustang, shall we? You can see Dan's helmet reflecting there in the rear view mirror. Actually, that is his real world helmet design as well. He's chasing down that Lamborghini. It certainly looks humid outside, doesn't it, Ed? There's a lot of sort of grey cloud and mist in the air, despite it being, well, despite the sunshine bearing down.
Yeah, it's no rain forecast, so people watching at home don't need to worry about there being any changeable conditions. Dan goes a little bit deep. Mustang again struggling to get stopped in towards the island hairpin, which is, I think, the theme for the first race.
Yes, it absolutely is. But to be fair, though, that might help out with traction on the corner exit, because it straightens it up. You know, it sort of squares the corner off a little bit. So if you go a little bit deep, when you've not got other cars around you, you go into the corner a little bit deep and then kick it back out again. Stephen Kershaw is dropping down the order here, and he's reappeared. He's having a connection issue by the look of it, as the car just blinked in and out for a few seconds there. Jake Cranstone's going to be hoping that Ben Idris Abdullahi's Mercedes blinks in and out and just disappears completely, isn't he? Because certainly putting pressure on right now is Ben.
Yeah, Ben is not hanging about for anything. He really wants to get a nice podium result, especially considering that his qualifying wasn't where we expected Ben to be at all. There's Christopher Rowe and Kim Such, they've had a moment now.
I think 2 separate incidents. Christopher Rowe out of the final corner. Car gets away from him, and it does biff the barrier quite hard. Kim Such has just had an innocent spin on the exit of the Knickerbrook right-hander, I believe. Around it goes.
Beautiful sound, isn't it? Especially the pair of them. Oh, it's wonderful. A wonderful noise of those 2 Mercedes AMG GT3s. Really just harmonising now as we get into the business end of this first race. 10 minutes to go. Mr. Jake Cranston, we're hoping will pass by as soon as possible. Looking around the outside, Ben Idris Abdullahi once more just piling the pressure on, forcing Jake to go defensive, just to let him know that he won't have an easy ride at things from now until the checkered flag.
It's very, very close, isn't it, between these two? It's lovely to see the Mercedes up there and fighting, though, at the sharp end of the order. Sure, the circumstances with incidents around them mean that's sort of why they're there, but they've gained 4 and 8 places respectively, Jake and Ben, and they are working hard to represent this car well at the sharp end of the order. Unfortunately, Matt Hoyland's technical issues have put him on the sidelines for this one. But, wow, It's certainly great to see this Mercedes near the front again, because I think I mentioned it before, but I always see this car as a real stalwart of GT3 racing. I don't see a GT3 series without the Mercedes. For me, it just doesn't look right. It just feels like something's missing. So it is lovely to see that these guys have found a competitive edge with it.
Yeah, definitely. It's wonderful to have all of these drivers with all their different bits of machinery. Like you say, definitely those Mercedes. It's not a season without one. I think you tend to see a lot of them with the Black Falcon squad. They tend to run the Mercedes quite a lot in the various championships they run in. I think the One Palm GT series is one that you often see a great contingent of them, and also I think in the is it the VLN? Or
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Nürburgring Endurance Series. Plenty of Mercedes there, obviously being a German manufacturer, more likely to see them for those events as well. Trying to think of what drivers spring to mind for me. I think it's Adam Christodoulou.
Yes.
It always pops into mind whenever you think of a Mercedes GT3. I'm not sure about you, Chaz.
Maro Engel.
Yeah.
Maro
another
Engo,
one.
that's the name. Oh, Ben Chalcraft's gone off. He's actually hopped into the lead for a second there because he's gone so far off the edge of the circuit. He almost cuts completely across to the Foster's layout. He's going to lose a few more spots now, I think, with these two closing in on him. Stephen Kershaw's having a fantastic run in this first race in the championship. Into the hairpin he goes. He's in the top 10 now with 11 places gained.
Good stuff, Stephen, on his first race of the season. As I said, I think he is the final driver that will be adding to the roster now that we are basically into the sort of latter stages of the season. It's fair to say we aren't really going to be wanting to add many more drivers just to upset the balance of the championship, and the drivers now know exactly who they're going to be racing with until the very end.
Right now, though, Jake Cranstoun knows he's probably going to be racing with Ben Idris Abdullahi till the end. These two are absolutely glued together. Absolutely glued together. And it's lovely to see it, like I say. We've got a great quartet going on here with John Tusting trying to hold off Ryan Penny, Adam Watson and Dan McCauley. I think John, it's safe to say, has got quite a bit of damage after that earlier incident. That front left and rear right of that Ferrari are absolutely decimated. But he is still managing to cling on because he knows that he can get a reverse grid pole position here. And to be fair, he could finish behind these guys and get that. Dan McCauley is on for it at the minute. I think he'll be happy to sit there, and I think Adam might sit there too.
Yeah, they both know that if it stays where it is, they'll be on the front row, and I think both drivers had probably backed themselves to get the result off the back of it. We'll have to find out, though, if that will be the case. Dan McCauley, once again, taking a different line to everyone else, just because, like you say, that the Ford doesn't really like accelerating when turning. And I think you hit the nail on the head when they have to approach the corners very differently than the rest. It still works out in terms of the lap time. It just means that when you're in a closed pack, having to close off that inside line to stop drivers poking a nose at the inside does mean that you are going to struggle in a race scenario. Qualifying is completely different, of course. Adam Watson, though, you say he's going to have to stay where he is. He's still going to pile the pressure on Ryan Penny, and if there's a position to be gained, he's certainly going to go for it. Adam Watson now in towards large corner. We'll go for it here. Onto the race nice and late. What about it?
Yeah, he's certainly having a look, but not sure if after his earlier incident whether he's still got the confidence to lob it up the inside like that. But he's got the McLaren spitting flames in his face right now, and it's actually given a little bit of respite to John Tusting just up the road. Only his second race meeting in the championship, and his Ferrari is very much remodelled in all corners. But he's got a bit of breathing room now back to him. Arthur Thurtle, though, he and Lewis Ward are in a different postcode at the moment. They're having a really solid run at the front of the order there, just about getting through by just avoiding problems, really, by the look of it. Kim Such is not far up the road here. The lap traffic in the Audi. Arthur Thurtle will be overtaking them in just a moment with just under 5 minutes left to go here at Oulton Park. This is round 11 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. Sponsored also by Oris Analytics and Bespoke Shelters. Thank you to all the guys for their wonderful support season on season. Here's Adam Watson around the outside in towards Druids. Down the inside of Ryan Penny. Gets it done on the inside. Lovely stuff Ryan leaves him plenty of room on the inside. Adam keeps it nice and tight to that double apex right-hander. Not easy to do that. Very, very difficult corner to get right, even when you're on your own, never mind side by side with another car.
Wonderful note from Dan Macaulay there as he just blasts his way out of what's open up Deer Leap. It does have such a wonderful whine to it. Just there in the background with the deep, gravelly, throaty sound. Cascades we go. It's just the moment it picks up the power, you know about it.
Yeah, it's just, it seems so subtle, like, just listen. There it is. And I was just waiting to see if there was any sort of moments in front, just to see if the McLaren had a bit of a wiggle, just see if it had a little bit of a problem on the exit, but no, because you can see the body language of these cars struggle to get the power down sometimes. They like to sort of wag the tail a little bit. Not the Porsche though, the Porsche is the most stable thing in the world.
Yeah, even with the engine in the wrong place, the weight distribution it has, I mean, Porsche seem to make it work all the time. And it's working out a real treat for at least the man up in second place, isn't it? Lewis Ward, who's trying to make good on the excellent races that he had last time out at Snetterton, just 2 weeks ago. So while he isn't necessarily the biggest fan of the Porsche, wanted to change to the Lamborghini, still not working out too badly for him, is it?
No, definitely not. He's not got a right to complain about not changing anymore. So I'm sure that he'll be it'll be a bit of a bittersweet result this if he gets a lot of big points in the Porsche with 20 kilos in it. I might message him saying it's quick, that Porsche, isn't it?
But which would you rather have, to prove a point or to score some points? And I think Lewis would much rather score some points than prove one. So
yeah, he's not that paid.
It's going to be a great result for him. And of course, after Thurtle, Altitude Esports right back up at the top of the field. Corvette. It's more wonderful to see it back on our screens, and also racing very well indeed. Again, not the most popular car, still only the two of them, Arthur Thurtle and Simon Povey. But can it work? Jake Cranstone trying to make Benedict's Abdullahi work hard for this third place, the final podium position on offer for this first race of the evening. And now as they make their way down through Cascade, Benedict's Abdullahi hoping that he gets the exit he needs to put the pressure on. Fancy a move up the inside, but Jake's going to cover it off, then gradually make his way to the outside, actually putting his car right in the middle of the circuit, just to ward off Abdullahi. He knows that he's going to be a little bit slower on the apex, but I mean, what can you do? It's not like Benedict's Abdullahi can drive through him, so
I was worried the camera was going to then, I'm not going to lie. I thought the camera was just going to morph through the back of that Mercedes and we'd get a really good look, without sounding too perverted, at Jake Cranstone's suspension geometry for just a second. But no, we didn't get that at this moment. Heinz Mayer still all over the back of Stephen Kershaw. These guys have raced together in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Series quite a lot before. There's, oh no, Tusting. He's disappeared and then reappeared. Oh, he just dropped down my timing for a sec there. That worried me. That really worried me. I thought he dropped out of that position. He would be right near the front of the grid again here. It's sort of like his second chance from Snetterton. Barney is waving the white flag because Arthur Thurtle is now on his final lap here in round 11. And this is going to feel like a little bit of redemption, this, isn't it, Ed?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Arthur Thurtle, he's wasn't there last time out. He's not been having the best of luck either, really, in terms of his pace has been electric, but sometimes he's just had incidents here and there that have taken him out of the equation. But from here, he managed to have a great start. Didn't necessarily qualify up on the front row that he would be hoping for, but it doesn't matter because you don't score points in qualifying, you score them in the race. And with just half a lap to go, he'll just be nursing it through these final few corners. Lewis Ward as well going to be doing the very same. Actually, Lewis gained a little bit on the final lap, so that puts him with some great confidence in his capabilities to maybe go a little bit better, or maybe go one better, sorry, in the second race, but not a lot of overtaking to do. But once again, brilliant race from Arthur out in front.
Yeah, really solid stuff. And round the final corner, justice is served, I'd think, for Adam Thurtle. No, Arthur Thurtle takes the win in round 11 of the SRM GT3 Winter Tour. Lewis Ward, some great points in second place. And who's going to get that final podium spot out of the two Mercedes? It's Jake Cranstone side by side with Ben Idris Abdullahi, who's going to try and sneak down the inside of him. It's going to be a tiny gap, but it goes to Jake Cranstone over the Frenchman. And Nils Kaur, considering he was in an incident right at the start, he's the only driver that's going to finish this race where he qualified on the grid. Hats off to Nils Kaur. Chris Jennings is going to finish in 6th place. A great drive for him. 5 places gained. Martin Kenyon's first race in the Porsche ends with 8 places gained. Lee Berridge 9 places gained. Ben Chalcraft inside the top 10. Stephen Kershaw top 10 on his debut in the series, just ahead of Heinz Mayer. Adam Watson will not want to watch that race back in 12th position ahead of John Tusting. Ryan Penny and Dan McCauley, importantly, will take pole position for race 2, being in the last point scoring position. He parks the car ASAP to make sure he saves it for race 2. But Arthur Thurtle, what a drive that is. He'll be over the moon there, Ed. Kept it nice and tidy where it mattered. Same with Lewis Ward as well. Really good stuff.
Yeah, brilliant race from the pair out ahead. Also not too bad, was it, from Jake Cranstone, who completed that top 10. Amazing defensive drive on display there to keep Ben Idris Abdullahi at bay. And I'll tell you what, we've got a little bit of a breather, don't we now, Chaz, between the second race. Just 10 minutes for us.
Yes, absolutely. A quick break then, and a good time for some adverts. So if you give me and Ed a few more minutes here on Chaz Draycott Media, we'll be right back with you for round 12 of the SRM GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're 3 wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been moved and a drift is going off. Ben Gregory now, I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here for the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes, here from Oulton Park for rounds 11 and 12. We've just had a very wild ride in race 11 of this championship, and this is exactly how said race ended. Arthur Thurtle took the race victory after incidents and spins ahead of him, with Lewis Ward in second position in the Porsche. Jake Cranstone makes it 3 different manufacturers on the podium, just ahead of Ben Idris Abdullahi. He and Nils Kaur help his team do very well in the Teams Championship and extend their lead with the Mustang in 5th place. Chris Jennings had a great race and finished 6th ahead of Martin Kenyon in 7th. Lee Berridge in 8th place, Ben Chalcraft in 9th, and Stephen Kershaw in the top 10 in his first race of the season. Heinz Mayer was in 11th place ahead of Adam Watson, who certainly had a wild ride indeed, with John Tusting in 13th, Ryan Penny in 14th, and Dan McCauley will be on pole position after finishing in the final point-scoring place in that first race. Christopher Rowe was 16th in that one, with Simon Price and Kim Such a lap down, and then the non-finishers were Mark Johnson, Simon Povey, Matt Hoyland, and Tim Perry. But we get to look at Tim Perry's car again now, Ed, as he goes back out on circuit for this warm-up session. Just about 5 minutes left to go, but boy, that was a busy one.
Yeah, definitely was. Action-packed, I think, is the best way we can describe that first race, and hopefully we get more of, well, not quite the exact same. There were a few incidents here and there, but hopefully still the same level of action and exciting close racing that we saw in that first race. Transferring over to the second, and with that reverse grid, very exciting to see the Ford once more at the very front. Dan McCauley will be hoping for better, wasn't he, after coming into this round, the championship leader. It's almost certainly not going to be the case if we tot up the scores from that first race. So chance for redemption potentially for Dan.
Yeah, he'll definitely want more from this second one. He will definitely want more, because at the end of the day, he's come here as the championship leader, so it's not necessarily like he's got a target on his back as Dan, but he's just got a lot to sort of uphold, hasn't he, at this point, as Stephen Kershaw litters the circuit in leaves. Look at all the debris still coming off the car. It's like some sort of Rocket League boost or something, isn't it? It's still coming off.
They're still clean there.
How many leaves have you run over? That's got to be a bug, surely.
No, actually, it stopped showing up on my end, so it must be like a little visual issue, because it's showing up and then gone again.
Yeah,
so I think he
had
just had to kick up a bit more grass.
Yeah, he had to reset it.
Could be a strategic manoeuvre. Just get a smoke screen, throw some drivers in behind. Spoiler of use, like something out of a James Bond film.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy, that, isn't it? It's funny what these things do sometimes. Adam Watson back out on the circuit. He'll definitely want a quieter race too, won't he? He's going to be starting near the front of the grid, but he had that accident. Well, it wasn't even really an accident, was it? He sort of had his little moment that took him out of the lead, losing the rear end of the car, and then he had his contact with Simon Povey, a big lunge up the inside, and then even after that, he got tangled up innocently in another incident with a car that was just pushed into him effectively.
Yeah, I can imagine he's going to be a very frustrated driver behind the cockpit, but hopefully that doesn't transfer into the race, because we know he's a quick driver and doesn't really do too much. As long as he's able to keep his head down, he should still have a good result coming his way. The one thing you can't do, though, is drive frustrated, because then that can just turn your night from a bad one into a catastrophic one. Yeah,
definitely. There was some strong words between the races, between the two, so we'll have to see where the red mist takes them in the second race. Dan McCauley is back out on the circuit, just getting in the odd lap before this next race. It's always worth doing, really. It surprises me that a lot more drivers don't go out in the warm-up session, but a lot of people tend to use it as just a quick time for a wee break or to have a drink and so on. But it's the track changes so much on iRacing, and the temperatures change so much that, to me, it's worth just getting 1 or 2 laps in just to see what it's like.
Yeah, 100%. Its session is carried over, the track state as well, carried over from moment to moment, from race to, well, the little warm-up session we have to the next race, and the same amount of rubber will be there. So it's always about finding the grip, finding out where is going to be quick, where isn't. Not so much, obviously, during the dry as it would be in the wet, where we see a lot of drivers, don't we, in between the two races, just hunting for any sort of grip, just seeing what the track state is going to be like. But for now, don't have as many drivers out on the track at this moment in time, but we are going to keep the focus on Dan McCauley because, like we've been saying, this is a real chance for him to try and sort of redeem his evening.
Yeah, definitely, and I know that he'll want this Mustang to be seen at the front of the order. He's been painting the car even more actually during the week. There's not going to be any updates to his livery, I don't think, but he's been trying to help others out with liveries. Ooh, goes deep at Cascades. Apparently iRacing have actually changed where the off-track is triggered on the exit there, which is a miracle because for so long it's been a case of you look at the white line and it kicks off and gives you an off-track. So it seems like iRacing have shone down on everybody and said, you know what, have it. You can have a little bit more room there. There's actually concrete runoff there now as well, rather than the sort of grasscrete that was there before. It's all painted now, so in wet conditions it's nightmarish. I've seen MX5 Cup races around there where cars get so sideways on the painted tarmac. It's hilarious to watch.
Reminds me a little bit of Spa many moons ago now, where that track was notorious for the off tracks, wasn't it? You'd have the Spa 24s where drivers were basically just having to at some point crawl around the final few laps so they didn't get disqualified.
Well, that's it. You need to be very careful around this place because of off tracks and incident points. Like we've said, it's very narrow indeed. So let's see how narrow it is, shall we? Let's go into the second race of the night. Round 12 of the SRM GT3 Winter Tour by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. And it's happy viewing for Dan McCauley on the front row of the grid. He's got Ryan Penny in the McLaren alongside him. John Tusting will start from third position. Adam Watson actually beat him to the line in the earlier race. He will start from fourth on the grid. Heinz Mayer will start with his sparring partner from race one, Stephen Kershaw, alongside him. Ben Chalcraft in seventh. Lee Berridge in 8th. Martin Kenyon will start 9th with Chris Jennings rounding out the top 10. Nils Kaur starts alongside his teammate Ben Idris Abdullahi. Then we have Jake Cranstone and Lewis Ward on the 7th row. Arthur Thurtle will start 15th after winning the earlier race. Christopher Rowe will start 16th in his Porsche. Simon Price and Kim Such make up row 9. Mark Johnson and Simon Povey will be the 10th row of the grid, ahead of Matt Hoyland and Tim Perry. Apparently Hoyland will be taking to the grid in this one after his earlier technical difficulties. So we will see just what he can make of this one. It's eyes in the sky here as we see the top few drivers on the grid ready to go. Looking back here from Adam Watson's Lamborghini, you can see there the Lamborghini of Heinz Mayer and I believe Stephen Kershaw alongside him. But Ryan Penny starting on the front row. He's got a good opportunity here to make up some big points for his championship and make up some places as well in the standings, because he's a little bit further down the order admittedly, but when you've got only a few points on the board, if you can score a big tally from a race like this, it helps you out hugely, doesn't it?
It really does. So we'll see what Ryan Penny can do from this front row start that he has earned. Let's not mince around it. He did earn it, not up in these positions for nothing. So it's great to see Ryan up there working hard and hopefully getting the reward for that hard work. And this is the second and final race of the evening. Dan McCauley from pole position will set the pace of the field now that the Porsche pace car has made its way into the pits and the second race is about to get underway.
It absolutely is, and Dan McCauley guns it, and away we go for round number 12 of the championship. And once again, Jake Cranstone way out wide. Adam Watson has got a move done before the start-finish line there, and we'll have to have a look back at that. But he goes around Ryan Penny and through up into second place, instantly towards the front of the field. But Dan McCauley makes a really clean getaway, and it seems like the rest of the field has done very well as well. Down towards Cascades for the first time. Let's go in the sky, shall we, and see what Ben Idris Abdullahi makes of this. He's got Arthur Thurtle, I always call him Adam Thurtle. Arthur Thurtle and Chris Jennings in front. You can see them all hesitating on the brakes, even the chopper having an issue stopping there. A little bit of contact nose to nose, or a little bit of a biff further down the order as it checks up, but it looks mighty tidy throughout the order. This is the battle for third place. 2 Ferraris inside the top 5. Lee Berridge down the inside of Ryan Penny here, and through he goes. What about everybody else getting through into this chicane? Lewis Ward was side by side there. Who was that with? Chris Jennings.
I'll have to have a look back at that start from Adam Watson, but we'll keep on this for now because it's so close, isn't it, on this opening lap. Dan McCauley getting away well. Adam Watson up 2 places. Lee Berridge as well, actually. He gained 5 positions in the start. So we've got to see from the boosted Ferrari's point of view at the beginning of the race as well, because it's been a brilliant getaway for Lee.
Yeah, here it is. So they are instructed to not leave their queue or make an overtaking effort before the start-finish line, and I mean, he's flat. It's a bit incriminating, Lee, to be honest. I've not helped him out. Yeah, that's one. That's one tick in the box, boys. Now here's Adam Watson.
It's like 4th.
Yeah, that doesn't smell like staying in your queue either, does it? I mean, even Jake Cranstone a bit further back, he's made only 2 places since the start, but I wonder whether his was more avoidance or anything. Martin Kenyon has been off the circuit. Let's see what Jake does here. Yeah, he gets out of it, in fairness to him. He gets out of it to avoid hitting the back of Nils Kaur, so that is more avoidance from Jake Cranstone than anything else. I'm afraid the other two are going to book themselves a slap on the wrists, at least, because that was, definitely not sticking to procedure. They can argue avoidance all they want, but when you're flat, you're not avoiding a lot.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the results of that might be, if it might be dropping a few places back from their finishing result, or maybe a stern talking to. We shall see. But Martin Kenyon, well, we've seen him now facing the wrong way. Was this on the opening lap through Cascades, as we see Tim Perry, the Altitude Esports car, going through. Great little pirouette to get facing the right way by Martin.
Yeah, he just had a long old spin down through Cascades, and it did not help him one bit. So Dan McCauley leads this race, Adam Watson behind. God, it's like Snetterton race 2 all over again, because this is what Dan had to do last time when he won a race just 2 weeks ago. He had the Lamborghini bearing down on him, and he looked after his tyres as, he's not going to look after them like that, as he's sideways through Cascades, much like Adam was earlier on. And surely, is that something to do with the debris refresh, making the cars slippy on the outside of the circuit? We'll have to wait and see. Well, Watson is through down the inside and into the race lead in that Lamborghini.
Yeah, and Watson was very quick, wasn't he, in that first race, and actually put it on pole position. So we imagine now that Adam Watson may just disappear off into the distance. He was hoping maybe to see a mistake from Dan McCauley, because in normal racing conditions that Ford is notoriously hard to get ahead of. And now Adam Watson has seemingly been gifted a wonderful opportunity to come through with the race victory after a very disappointing first race.
Yeah, he'll have to be certainly hoping that he doesn't get too much of a slap on the wrist, I guess.
Yeah.
Not to do live stewarding, because that's not what we're about here, but yeah, he needs to be careful of that. As Heinz Mayer just ahead there, going off the circuit in the Lamborghini. Look at the leaves and dust everywhere being kicked up by that thing. Down the inside now goes Arthur Thurtle as well. Oh, poor Heinz has been absolutely freight trained there by all these cars going through. Lewis Ward wants a piece of this as well. Can't go between him and Idris Abdullahi. God, Chaz, get your words out, put your teeth in at the same time. Jake Cranstone, that's how you overtake down at turn 1, says Jake. Down the inside of Lewis Ward he goes. And the Porsche now behind the Mercedes once again. Lewis had already put in a bit of work to get back in front of him, but now he's got that big old rear wing of the Mercedes reminding him that he eats Jettas for breakfast, does Jake, as he goes now down the inside of Heinz Mayer. Lewis Ward sees an opportunity, wants to flow in through. Lovely, great work.
I don't really want to ask Jake what a Jetta tastes like. I can't imagine it's
like coal.
Too pleasant. Yeah, like coal. Pretty much a steam powered thing. It's so ancient on iRacing. Yeah, definitely not a.
Not appetising.
Behind with, especially a Volkswagen with the emissions, it probably won't taste very good at all.
No.
Stephen Kershaw, meanwhile, out ahead of Ben Shelcraft.
There are.
Not seeming like a bad car choice around here, is it?
No, but there are no cars behind him up down to 18th place that are more than a second behind one another. He's got a hell of a train here. I'm not saying that Stephen's the cork in the bottle, but he has got one of the biggest trains of cars that I think we've seen in the championship so far, chasing him down. If we go on the right front suspension of Mark Johnson, for example, this is the other end of that train chasing Stephen Kershaw down. Just look at it. Stephen's just gone through the exit of turn 1 now and is going down towards Cascades. It is remarkable. Absolutely remarkable, this. There are a lot of cars all in. Look at it. It's just brilliant. All one humongous queue here. Lovely to see Matt Hoyland actually going again in this race. He's gained 5 places after starting near the back of the pack earlier on. So he's going well. There's been some changes up here. My goodness, they're 2x2x2x2. There was a little bit of a kiss there between Ben Idris Abdullahi and Ben Chalcraft. I think he tried a move or had to avoid hitting the back of Nils Kaur. It's all going to check up here. It's easy for this to happen. Lewis Ward has got back past Jake Cranstone in this. Arthur Thurtle now sat behind Ben Idris Abdullahi. He's got Ben Chalcraft ahead of him. Nils Kaur now wants to try and overtake Stephen Kershaw. He says, right, Ben, you've had your chance. Now I want to get on with this one, and I want to be the one to get this overtake done over this lovely, lovely Porsche, which does have a dent in the back of it. It's nearly got another one.
Yeah, Porsche Centre Chester gets some great tyre time, even if they're like a little bit battered and bruised.
Yeah, Carl, lend me a car.
Oh, never mind. It's even worse now as Nils Kaur gets a little bit more acquainted with that rear end of Stephen Kershaw, but that Ford really closing in now. Look at the speed as they go in towards turn one. Is Nils going to fancy move up the inside? He's close enough to think about it, but he only thinks, he doesn't commit, and that allows Stephen Kershaw, well, to live to fight another corner at the very least as they now go through Cascades. Little wiggle actually from Nils as he tries to get the car to turn in. A nice exit. Maybe up the inside.
We'll see from here. This is just how much it checks up. Look, some of the guys want to take the inside line. Ben Idris Abdullahi down the inside of Chalcraft, and Nils has got the move done. Stephen Kershaw is now on the outside of this. He's going to get absolutely freight trained, I think. Ben Chalcraft is the next one to go after Ben Idris Abdullahi, actually. So both the Chicane Online racing cars through. Oh, big check up. Everybody slammed onto the brakes. I think there was a little bit of contact in the thick of all that. Simon Price has just been overtaken by... Is that Tim Perry? It is Tim Perry. Can you believe it? Tim Perry in the very subtle Mustang making his way by. God, I hate it so much. Ryan Penny is in 4th place at the moment, battling with John Tusting. These guys have got a bit of a gap over that humongous gaggle that you can just see going through the bottom of shot. All of this going on, Ed, and there's still 22 minutes to go.
I love this championship, I really do. Everything that we have with Sim Racing Magazine is always going to bring some great racing, and I'm so glad that this Winter Tour has proven no different as we watch now Ryan Penny and John Tusting tussling away as they go now down through Cascades, setting up for the Island Hairpin. As in behind we've got, well, this motley crew, let's say, but look at the variety of car we have on display. The fact that these are all able to race as close as possible, even with the popularity ballast affecting things here and there, it just goes to show how brilliant this format is working out. Let's look at that up the inside. I think, is that Thurtle on Chalcraft? It is Thurtle now up ahead of the McLaren, and actually we're going to see Stephen Kershaw have to worry about any actions from in behind. No, he's able to carry on. Ooh, a little bit out of shape is Chalcraft.
Oh my God.
He's going to get swallowed up all the way around the outside. Wonderful move there by Lewis Ward. That was perfect positioning of the Porsche.
I think that
find a way through to make the pass.
That camera exaggerates how difficult it is to fit this many cars around this circuit. We've only got 22 of them in the field. Jake Cranstow down the inside of Ben Chalcraft now. Lovely move through Druids. Great stuff. Really good opportunism there, but also massive respect to Ben Chalcraft for that, because he could close doors there, he could turn in on people, he could make life harder, but he knows that in the grand scheme of things it would just hold all of them up and it'd just be a big old mess, and he hasn't done that. So hats off to Ben Chalcraft. He scored some good points earlier on. He's been near the front of the order. He's just hoping to hold on to the points that he has now got himself into a position to score. Matt Hoyland, after starting from the back of the pack, is making his way forward. Funnily enough, Chris Jennings' car actually does say Tim Perry this way, pointed forward, and Tim Perry's not that way at all. You can see him in the background. So I'm going to take the mick out of Chris for just that moment with that livery. He was that confident that Tim Perry would be ahead of him in this race. Everybody's still running. That has started this race. 21 drivers in this one. Simon Povey didn't take to the grid this time round, as Mark Johnson had to dive out of it a little bit there, and Tim Perry says thank you very much. Subtly squeezes down the inside as if nobody would notice. But looking at the front of the order, Adam Watson leads the way, as he did in race 1 before his slide and his moment. And he started to gap Dan McCauley a bit, but how good is this for Dan right now? 6.7 seconds ahead of Lee Berridge. Yeah,
brilliant for him and his championship. Of course, the driver that came into this as our championship leader is the man on our screens right now, Dan McCauley. But after that first race, he's maybe going to struggle to see himself there by the end of the evening. Of course, time will tell. It's not just him that's had a torrid time. One of his big championship rivals, Simon Povey, not seemingly scoring any points from tonight. So for Dan, it's all about just making sure he can have the best result so far. And he's actually gaining on Adam Watson. Not sure if Adam had a bit of a mistake on that last lap, but that gap was at once around about 1.5 seconds. It's now down to just 0.5.
Yeah, it's a bit of inconsistency there from Adam Watson. I'm wondering whether He's just had a moment down Cascades once again, because it's easy to do that. We saw him do it in race 1. There's a bit of shenanigans here. John Tusting side by side with Nils Court. He and Ben Idris Abdullahi are gaining ground now on the drivers ahead of them. Still 18 and a half minutes left to go. Still not even halfway through this race. Ben Idris Abdullahi not able to follow his teammate through there that time round, although, ooh, there's a gap. Says thank you very much, tries to go around John. You can just see the vents of that Ferrari next to him as he squeezes him enough. Don't know if there was contact there. It looked like there might have been a little bit of a rub, but through goes Ben Idris Abdullahi. He's now got Arthur Thurtle, then Lewis Ward behind him, first and second in the first race just earlier on. And they are going to be piling pressure on that poor Ferrari, but there's still one on for a podium at the moment in the form of Lee Berridge.
Yeah, Lee Berridge having a great time of things, is he? And this could be, I think, actually the Ferrari's first podium. Or was there? Did he get one in the rain-affected brands?
I think one of them did get a rain-affected Ferrari podium. Let's have a look.
Through our stat sheet, just to make sure.
No.
They did not.
No, Martin Kenyon and PJ Clysons were on the podium at Brands Hatch. The Ferraris have not had a podium yet this season, no.
Well, they might not have one any longer, as you can just see. Move up the inside. That's Arthur Thurtle, actually. That's not on Lee Berridge. That is on John Tusting.
Yes.
So that's one Ferrari in the mix of the action. Well, this is close, isn't it? Matt Hoyland trying to get through on Chris Jennings and Heinz Meyer, the Lamborghinis, right up ahead.
Chris not wanting to give an inch
there.
there.
On the way out. Just not able to get the power down, and great defence, to be fair, from Chris, hanging on to that 14th place. All important championship points.
Through Druids they go. It shows you just how bumpy Oulton Park is, doesn't it, this camera angle, because they're not like stiff, solid bumps. They're all these tiny little smooth sort of rises and falls, so the suspension acts really strangely around Oulton Park. It doesn't sort of jolt up and down on the rebound really aggressively. It's all really slow rebound and compression, so it's quite hard to set a car up for a circuit like this. You want to be quite high on the downforce, but when you're on the international layout, there is a lot of high-speed sections. Hoyland looks down the inside of Jennings once again. Jennings late to turn in to make sure that he gets as good a slingshot off the corner as he can, but Hoyland wants to look to the right, then look to the left at Cascades, but no. It's so difficult to overtake round here. It is all down to that hairpin, really. That's where we're seeing most of the moves.
Yeah, or sometimes if drivers make mistakes, just putting the power down a little bit too much. It's a case of just trying to balance it so delicately. We also often see moves, a few of them made, haven't we, Chaz, in towards chicane here at Ryan Penny. Now, just trying to defend as much as he can on this fourth position. Nils Court finished fifth in the last race, looking to try and finish fifth in this next one, but actually his teammate Ben Idris Abdullahi has just gotten ahead of him.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Let's have a look at what happened here. Oh, has he had a slowdown penalty or something? I don't know where he'd get one, but he just doesn't get the run, so I think he just tries to make sure he lets him through without compromising the pair of them as much as possible. So, interesting.
Maybe now it's just handing the torch over to Ben. Realised that Nils wasn't really able to get through on Ryan, so he's letting Ben have a chance to see if he can crack that tough nut, which is the McLaren. Not the most insane idea we've seen from drivers over the course of the season, trying to work together. Obviously, if you've got a teammate that can help you out, why not go for it? And it could be paying dividends immediately. As look at this, Ben Idris Abdullahi up the inside of the McLaren, and is Nils Court going to be able to take advantage? Not quite.
Wow.
Nearly worked out for him though.
It nearly did. But Arthur Thurtle is now on the attack. He wants to unsettle Nils before he can get through to Ryan. He knows that on paper Ryan might not be as quick as the pair of them, so while Nils is held there in position, he wants to take advantage. The side-by-side a bit further down as Matt Hoyland has finally got past Chris Jennings after a bunch of attempts. There's a few cars behind now. Christopher Rowe, Mark Johnson, and then Tim Perry is... Christopher's around and there's multiple contact. And Mark Johnson, for the second time tonight, is pitched around. He gets across the circuit. Fair play to him because he got on with it as soon as he could, but it still wasn't a dangerous rejoin. He cracked on there. Fair play to Mark, but it was just an innocent spin by Christopher Rowe. Look, he just clips the grass, around it goes. Mark gets on the brakes, and I don't think Tim saw it coming, unfortunately.
No, I think actually Tim Harry he did tap on the brakes just to try and avoid the contact, but it just happened so soon in front of him that he didn't really have any time to react. Ryan Penny, now he's not dropped back too quickly through the field to his credit, currently in 5th place, dropping 3 places in the first 15 minutes. Now might find himself losing out once more as look at this, to the inside goes Nils Core, and Arthur Thurtle is going to try and follow him through.
Ooh, however,
make it work, and now look at Lewis Ward. He's the driver that's going to take advantage. But actually, on the way out of the corner, look at this. The McLaren, does he fancy move up the inside? Not quite, but Nils Core almost goes straight on. He just hangs on to the circuit. Lewis Ward, he fancies a move through, can't get it done. Has to worry now about Arthur Thurtle, but Arthur can't take advantage either. But throughout all of that, drivers that losing out, Ryan Penny and Arthur Thurtle.
I think there was a little bit of a kiss here from Ryan Penny's McLaren onto Nils Core, which is why he struggled. Arthur nearly hit the back of him already. But look at this, Ryan is going to go, now he gets clear, Nils clears him. Ryan goes back to the right hand side and he just comes back over to the left, hoping to slot in behind, but just kisses the back of the Ford there and unsettles it. Lewis nearly gets into Ryan as well. He gets back down the inside. Don't think Ryan still expected him to be there. They all did really well to stay on the circuit throughout all of that. They're still side by side as Penny has now got Thurtle down his inside, cuts back to the apex to stay ahead of Jake Cranstone. Great stuff this. Ryan Penny is not taking this line down. You've got to love that.
Yeah, great spot actually there, Chaz. The little bit of contact as well. Look at this down at the inside.
Who else but Cranstone?
Cranstone, he goes for those moves, but he does like making them stick as well, using the camber of the corner to help him just hug that inside line so he doesn't run wide into the path of the McLaren. Wonderful stuff there from Jake. He really knows the circuit and the car, using it to great effect. Now, 4th place, Benedict Abdullahi. Once again, like I was saying earlier, Nils Core finished 5th in the first race, currently in 5th in the second. Hoping that he can catch up to Benedict Abdullahi, who in turn is going to try to catch Lee Berridge in these final, 11.5 minutes of racing. And Charles Graham has that length of time to defend from Matt Hoyland, Heinz Meyer and Chris Jennings, with Tim Perry in cahoots as well. But what a result this would be for Lee Berridge if he was to get not only his first podium, but also the first podium for the Ferrari.
Yeah, he'd be absolutely loving it, wouldn't he? He's got currently 10 seconds to Dan McCauley in 2nd place, so Dan will be loving this chance to score some big points tonight. Adam will be loving the fact that he can also recuperate the points lost by that first race. He finished, where would it have been, in 12th position, with Dan McCauley finishing in 15th. So Dan only getting 1 point from that first race. But yeah, Lee Berridge in 3rd. Certainly on for a good score here. Let's just have a quick look and see. His best result of the season has been 9th place, and that was the first race at Brands Hatch. He's been in the points 3 times since then in the other 4 races that he's done. He wasn't here for Snetterton last time out, but it's certainly been a lively night for Lee once again in the thick of things. He had a bit of a rough round at Donington Park, but he still comes back and he still pushes on, which is great to see. He's got good commitment to this sort of thing as Lee. And this battle in the middle of the pack is still very fierce. I'm intrigued by Matt Hoyland's progress to see where he can get through the field. Stephen Kershaw was one of the backmarkers effectively from qualifying, but he certainly held his own during the race and he's defended brilliantly here. He finished 10th in race 1 and now he is in 11th place in race 2. He's had some of the faster drivers come by and overtake him, but you know, again, he's held his own brilliantly here and he's not just sort of rolling over and letting them by.
No, and that's what we love to see, is that drivers, they're incentivised, aren't they? Because we don't have a different class system where drivers score points relative to their own class. Everyone's in it together. It means that we have these opportunities where some drivers that might not necessarily get a chance to shine on the big stage have their moment in the limelight, and it is a really great way of sort of recognising drivers up and down the grid, and as well to try and reward those drivers that maybe don't necessarily score championship points every race, to sort of hammer it home that every single point is hard fought for, and means that those results mean that little bit extra for the drivers.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that we've always tried to do with championships, is, you know, not just give everybody a prize, you know what I mean? You don't get a point or 10 points for finishing in 56th position. You know, sometimes it's called an incentive to finish a race, which fair enough, you know, you should never give up and so on. But we like it when drivers sort of strive for a result. and just to be in the points. You know, you can take part in a race and not score any points, and we always have really interesting battles a bit further down the order with the drivers that maybe only score 4 or 5 points in an entire championship, but one race just going your way can make all of that difference. As, oh dearie me, Stephen Kershaw has had big old contact with the barriers there. Chris Jennings goes by. Interesting rejoin by Stephen, though. He kept it up to speed, but he was well out of the way, so that's what we like to see. Made himself predictable, that's the main thing, as this is what caused it. Whoa, way too much. I don't know what he was doing there. It was like the car didn't brake.
Yeah.
It just really didn't brake, did it?
Lapse of concentration. I don't even know if he was properly hitting the brake pedal. It was like a lapse of concentration almost for Stephen Kershaw. Just missed his mark completely. It just went straight on. Obviously the brakes seemed to work there for Lodge. I think he realises too late because he's just going too quick.
Yeah.
Even at the point where he should be braking.
Yeah, I think, as you were beginning to say, I believe it was just a lapse in concentration. I think he's just gone way too hot, and then by the time he's in there, he's lobbed the car in, it's cut into the ABS, and it just goes straight on. That Ferrari podium we mentioned earlier on is under threat all of a sudden from Ben Idris Abdullahi, who once again is having such a consistent evening. He finished in 4th place in that earlier race, just off the podium, and now he is showing us just how quick he can be in this Mercedes. 3rd position is on the cards if he keeps this up, but he needs to get by Lee Berridge, and Lee will not go down without a fight here. We've actually seen these two have a great old scrap in the past in this series as well, so Ben will certainly be a bit reserved in trying to go for this move. We'll see exactly what happens here.
This is either going to be a very quick move for Ben Idris Abdullahi or a long slog at the office, because you can tell that Lee hasn't really had to worry too much about anyone behind him chasing him for position, so he hasn't had to have the defensive drive necessarily his way. But if he's able to focus up and get a few laps of defence under his belt, it should be really tricky to pass. But then there's just putting the crowd down a little bit too much, the pressure getting to a brief mistake, and that has opened the doors for Abdullahi to find himself up into 3rd. I said it was either going to be quick or a long, tough race for Ben to get through, but it turns out it was the former. Lee just, because he didn't have that pressure over the course to really toughen him up, it was just one little moment, and Abdullahi just carved his way through.
Yeah, lovely stuff, and nice try actually that by Lee to try and get a cut back into the chicane. I really like that, but unfortunately nothing doing this time round. I think there was a little bit of contact in towards the hairpin. It's quite a lumpy braking zone, so the cars sort of bobble around as Lee just goes a bit too hot there into Lodge, trying to follow on to Ben now, use him as a bit of a yardstick, as no, Heinz Mayer is off the road, drops down into 15th place, the final point scoring spot. The timing has just refreshed and went to the wrong thing there, so excuse me. Mark Johnson's race has come to an end. He's coming into the hairpin. Whoa, he kisses the grass on the way in, and I believe after putting all the gravel on the circuit, he's going to reverse, and he heads into the pit lane for retirement.
I was wondering why we saw a little bit of gravel actually sort of as a perfect little strip across the circuit when Lee Berridge and Abdullahi were having their side-by-side moment. Actually see as well, the gravel has been perfectly cleared now in that little patch on the inside. Wonderful little display of iRacing's debris system in full effect, and it's only been out for, less than a week?
Yeah, exactly. It's been really strong to see it. For some reason, for me, it never renders that sort of extravagantly. Like, you can't really see any marbles offline as they head up the hill or anything. You can't see a huge amount of it off the edge of the circuit, but you can see the odd little tyre mark here and there that does get dragged back on, and the leaves and all that. You can see them getting kicked up there, and then, it doesn't last that long, but there are certain points where I've seen it on other people's sort of iRacing streams and so on, where there's debris everywhere. I've got it all turned on, but it just doesn't seem to render it as much. I don't seem to see as many marbles at the side of the road.
Yeah, it might be track dependent as well. There could be a few different factors at play, but still, it is a wonderful thing that iRacing have added to the sim just to make it that little bit more realistic and immersive, which we are always grateful for, especially considering we pay as much as we do for it. It's great to have that sort of faith repaid, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Lee Berridge will want faith repaid in Nils Core here by Nils not attacking him in these last 4 minutes, but you can bet your bottom dollar that Nils and his teammate Ben will want to completely nail home that team's championship Lee in the Ferrari doing everything he can do at the moment, trying not to fall asleep listening to the noise of it as well. That's quite a challenge in itself. But you can see just how careful and tidy you have to be around that part of the circuit. Interesting that the Ferrari's gear shifts, they sound really long and slow, don't they? Normally it's like a bang, bang, bang up the gears, but listen. It's almost like you lift off the throttle and do it like a sort of a manual gear shifter, like a stick. Ready? But if we go on board with the Mustang, listen to the gear changes as we come out of the corner. Is it pretty instant? No, I don't know actually.
It definitely seems more instant. I think the Porsche is near enough instant as well, actually, if we go with someone like Lewis Ward. Yeah, the Porsche is bang on instant.
It's
you
like
can hear it
gunfire.
Even better as we come out of the corner. Actually, we'll have a great chance to see exactly Lewis Ward's on board as he powers his way ahead of Arthur Thurtle in behind.
Yeah, it's like gunfire in the Porsche.
Precision
Strange,
German engineering.
Yeah.
Maybe with the sort of American brute strength and that as well. Well, I don't know what you'd call the Italian engineering with the engine of Lee Berridge with the massive gaps, but
they couldn't be
not as
bothered.
Precise.
They went
more passionate than precise.
Yeah, they went for lunch. That's
not French, is it?
No, that wouldn't even change gear and give up.
So the strike halfway through.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the Ferrari, it asks it for from third gear to fourth, and the clutch is saying, right, where's fourth gear? And fourth is out getting a haircut or something. It's just not quite there at the time. Still.
Speaking of French, we love you, Ben Idris Abdullahi. Great work on your third place. Hang on for another couple of minutes, and you'll get a great reward for your evening. And you've certainly put the hard work in tonight.
Yeah, definitely. He has been absolutely spot on, has Ben tonight. The two drivers ahead of him have both had topsy-turvy evenings, but it may very well be that Ben is the highest scoring driver of the night. This Ben, unfortunately, will not be by the look of it. Ben Chalcraft has a drive-through penalty, one of the slowest pit lanes in the world here at Oulton Park. 50 kilometres an hour is 31 miles an hour. The McLaren doesn't like going 31 miles an hour. As you can hear, it sounds angry to get going.
How dare you make me go through there?
Yeah, I know.
Says Ben as he now getting back out and running on the circuit. Fortunately out of the point scoring positions and a little bit off the mark. 12 seconds shy of that 50th place held by Kim Such, and with a minute to go won't be able to score any points, but still good to see him carrying on regardless. Great determination to carry on as fastest lap set by Adam Watson, who starts now the final lap of the race. That Lamborghini got off like a rocket at the very start, which is definitely going to be, I think, looked into. That doesn't take away from the race he's had from that point on, does it, Chaz?
No, absolutely not. His pace and his consistency in this one has been absolutely phenomenal. He had a few little wobbles earlier on, I think, in front of Dan, but he's just been pushing that hard to open up the gap in this race and really stamp his authority on this one that he has shown us all exactly. I mean, he's shown us many a time in qualifying and in practice sessions. He's constantly top of the times, is Adam. And now that the race has gone his way a little bit more this time, he is going to take a very, very convincing victory, as Lewis Ward and Arthur Thurtle and Nils Kaur have all had some sort of shenanigans go on here. What is this about? Oh, Lewis. Get in there, Lewis. What on earth happened to Arthur Thurtle? So,
tap the grass.
Oh, Arthur. Whoa, Arthur goes in deep. And to be fair to Nils, actually, he keeps himself well out of the way. Anyway, Adam Watson crosses the line and takes the win in round 12 of the championship here at Oulton Park. He worked well for that one. Dan McCauley, he's going to be happy to salvage second place in that race tonight, with Ben Idris Abdullahi about to come home in third position and be our biggest scoring driver of the night. What a drive that is for Ben. Could potentially put him in the championship lead, that one. Hats off to you, Sunshine. Lee Berridge is going to hold on to fourth. His best result of the season. What a great drive that is, ahead of Nils Kaur, Lewis Ward, Arthur Thurtle, Jake Cranstone in 8th place. Bit of a quiet race on Jake's part there. Ryan Penny is going to come across the line in 10th place ahead of John Tusting. And hats off to Matt Hoyland and Tim Perry. Those two started from the back of the grid and made it up into 11th and 12th. Chris Jennings is just going to beat fellow Lamborghini driver Heinz Meyer to the line, and Martin Kenyon on his first night in the Porsche is going to take 15th position. But Adam Watson, well, you can't argue with that one. What a fantastic drive that was. Obviously, as mentioned, the start will be looked at, but still, the race itself by Adam there was sublime. Absolutely sublime. Winning by over 8 seconds in the end to Dan McCauley. And at the end of the day, Dan was the championship leader coming into this race meeting. Certainly shows that that is no easy feat.
Yeah, definitely. Barring the first 5 seconds, a nice drama-free race for Adam Watson that he was able to take full advantage of, put the pressure on Dan McCauley, and took advantage when he just showed the first signs of cracking. And Adam with a great result there to come through as the winner in the second race of the evening.
Round 12 is won by Adam Watson for 3M by Altitude, with Dan McCauley in second position. Like we've said, a bit of justice for that first race for Dan there. Ben Idris Abdullahi finishes in third place, a great podium for him, ahead of Lee Berridge, his best result of the season, in fourth. Nils Kaur finishes fifth, ahead of Lewis Ward. Arthur Thurtle is in seventh, with Jake Cranstone behind. They all worked very hard for those positions. Ryan Penny gets a top 10, ahead of John Tusting. I think that's his first top 10 of the season. Matt Hoyland finishes in 11th, ahead of Tim Perry. Those two both recovering from the back of the pack. Chris Jennings 13th, with fellow Lamborghini driver Heinz Meyer in 14th. Martin Kenyon, the last point scorer in that one, ahead of the unlucky Stephen Kershaw. Ben Chalcraft is 17th, Kim Such 18th, then Mark Johnson, Christopher Rowe and Simon Price not starting the race. Not finishing the race, with Simon Povey not starting it. So, time to go back in time once again, Ed, and we will see what drivers we've got to speak to here as we can conduct some interviews once more here to end the night. I'll just whack on a little bit of music if it actually plays this time, because it isn't seeming to want to play at the moment, which is always great fun. I love Spotify, I do. There we go. It's just coming on now. Okay, so what we're going to do is speak to, well, who else but...
Paul Different.
We caught him halfway through a chat as well. Who are you moaning about this time, Mr. Hoyland?
It wasn't moaning. It was moaning about you, actually, about how difficult the track was to overtake. That's what I was complaining about.
Well, you made it work tonight in that second race, at least with 10 places gained. That must have at least appeased a little bit of the rage from the first race.
Yeah, I was more concerned with that first race. It was like the most bizarre thing. Like, everything disappeared and froze, and then it reappeared, and then it went. I thought, oh no, get me off before I ruin someone else's race. But yeah, race two were a blast. Like, I think that's the most difficult pack work I think I've ever done. Like, just how close everyone was, and trying to find an opportunity was so tough. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, especially going into turn, I think it becomes turn 4, the hairpin here. Just the way things check up, you can end up with someone who was 5 or 6 car lengths behind you suddenly on your outside or coming up your inside, and obviously it's not on them to dive bomb you, but by the same token, you don't want to get hit either. So you are constantly trying to keep a check on where everyone is and looking for those tiny little gaps. But really good fun. I really enjoyed race 2. Drinking a lot of beer, a lot of other alcohol. Not a lot, to be honest. I do quite a bit of travelling for work and stuff, so it's just nice to just be in my own space. I'll try and do some sim racing, but hopefully nothing too serious. Just try and reset a little bit, and it'd be nice to come back and see how I can do refresh, because obviously we're at the end of the year now, everyone's tired. I know I'm not driving at my best, but then again, everyone else will be better as well, so we'll see. Anything could happen.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will still be recovering from food comas a little bit around then, so we'll have to see. Apologies for muting myself there, everybody. I had a quick swig of my drink and tried to get it done, but here we are. It is what it is. Thank you very much for joining us once again, Matt. And, well, before you go, obviously you know the score by now. Anyone you want to give a shout-out to?
I'll give a shout out to Martin. We've been in chat tonight. He's not had the best of nights, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll come back. We'll both come back stronger next time. Obviously, shout out to you both as well. Thanks again for the streams, setting everything up. The very comprehensive driver briefing that you did earlier. Yeah, hopefully, Merry Christmas to everyone who's watching, yourselves included, and I'll see you all in the new year.
Thank you very much, Matt. Enjoy Christmas and New Year, mate, and we'll hopefully speak to you again soon.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. And we'll very quickly move on to the race winner in that second race by just over 8 seconds. Adam, you certainly made up for the first race result with that second one. You were absolutely flying. What was the Lambo like round here tonight?
The Lambo was good. It's just, I think, I miscalculated the iRace's debris model.
I was going to. We did wonder whether it was down to that. We actually had a little bit of a chinwag about it during that first race because it just seemed like it got loose for a second, straightened up, and then got going again.
Yeah, so obviously when everyone else comes around on lap 1, there's loads of debris because of grass and stuff like that. And obviously I went in braking where thinking, clean track. No. So he just called me out in race 1.
Well, I'll tell you what, we complimented your save as well because it very easily could have speared 90 degrees across the circuit and you managed to keep it from doing so, but I bet it was just saw at the wheel and pray, wasn't it?
Cross line thinking, 2.5 second lead, great! This is just like, let's just bring this one home, and then it was like, sideways. There's grass. Grass, please don't. Lose the brake. And then straighten it up.
Well, it was certainly a great recovery in that second race, though, Adam, because race 1 was a real roller coaster to say the least. What are you feeling now before we break for the festive period and then come back with 2 meetings to go?
I'm happy. I'm happy with how race 2 went. The first 10 minutes were really good with Dan. I could see that he was struggling with the Ford, so it was a really good race there. And then I was just able to just get in a sweet spot in a place where I wanted to be with the Lambo to win it. And then going to, obviously, the next track is Donington, which we know what happened last time we were there, just adding 2 more hairpins. We'll see what goes on.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, Adam. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout-out to before you go?
Yeah, obviously you guys for the stream and putting these races on for us. It's really good. And then, obviously, Mark at Altitude and Jonathan at 3M for allowing this to happen.
Thanks very much, mate. Great to speak to you as always, Adam. And we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, buddy. And we will see you on the other side. Have a good one.
You too.
Cheers. Well, Adam Watson, like we say, certainly made up for it in that second race. And Lee Berridge jumps into the box with us. Lee, good to have you back first off. We missed you last time out at Snetterton, but way to come back, eh? Your best result of the season. You must be buzzing.
Yeah, that was good. Although I do have a very minor bone to pick. The rules not to overtake until the start-finish line. Might be worth having a look at that. There's about an inch. Before I overtake, so I think I make it.
Oh, flipping.
No, that was a blinding race. I really enjoyed that. I mean, I knew from the start I was never going to keep with Adam or Dan, but I was just trying to build a gap as much as I could, and then I saw Ben and Nils coming. And yeah, I couldn't beat Ben, but that was a good fight with Nils. The beauty of this track is that it's so narrow. I just sat in the middle. That's all I could do.
Yeah, I suppose it's one of those things with Oulton, isn't it? It's a beautiful circuit. It's a very great one to hot lap, but cars like this, they feel twice as wide around somewhere like this, don't they?
Yeah, and the Ferrari is not good here. It's got no traction out of all the slow speed corners.
It certainly looked like it was a little bit more planted around here tonight, though. I don't know what it was, but it usually seems like it's a bit more skittish, but it looked like Oulton suited it in a weird way. I don't know if it was the same from in the cockpit.
Well, yeah, I suppose depends how you look at it. I mean, obviously through the chicane, the tight hairpin and coming out of the last corner were not its strong points. The rest of the track, yeah, I'd probably say it was fairly good.
Fair
so
play.
All the high-speed corners.
Yeah. Fair play. Well, it's great to speak to you as always, Lee, and well done on your best result of the season. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout-out to before we go?
Well, I mean, half my team didn't turn up tonight, so
stuff.
let's call them out for not coming.
Fair play, mate. Well, we hope you have a fantastic Christmas and New Year, Lee. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.
Take care, mate. Bye.
Well, Lee straight in there to mention the rules. He doesn't want that slap on the wrist, but fair play to him, though. What a great race he had, because at the end of the day, while, people can watch these races and say, well, yeah, of course they finished near the front. They were put near the front of the grid. With the quicker drivers coming through because of that reverse grid element, it's never easy to stay at the front of the field, is it, regardless of what goes on?
It really isn't. So hats off to Lee for that great race, and he had to defend brilliantly from Nils Core for much of those sort of final 10 minutes, didn't he? So it was definitely not handed to him on a plate whatsoever. He really had to work with it, and hats off to him. He made it work out brilliantly.
He absolutely did, and that is, well, amazingly, it for the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 Winter Tour in 2024. The GT3 Winter Tour, of course, by Derbyshire Holiday Homes. Once again, thank you to Oris Analytics and also to Bespoke Shelters. Thanks also to you, Ed, and all the drivers and competitors, everyone for making this series what it is. It's been absolutely awesome to get this underway. Really, really excited to see how this finale comes about in 2025. But from us in this series here, have yourselves a fantastic Christmas and New Year, everybody. Thank you so much for watching SRM this season, and we'll see you in 2025. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're three wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. These are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake. Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and a drift is going off. I love this. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.